Yes, welcome, and yes, when the camera decides to focus, there we go, you are looking at an extremely grainy photograph of a BT7. Now, this is a photograph out of a film called The Red Army, and it's on YouTube. And what it is this little BT7, it's the story of it, and its exploits. And this is one of his exploits. It goes across this bridge that is partly destroyed. As you can see, it just goes across the stumps that are sticking out the water. Now, I watched this film and I sort of fell in love with this sort of BT7, and I thought to myself, I want to do a diorama of this particular setting. Now, at the time, you might have heard this story. At the time, I hadn't long been out of hospital after operation and illnesses and good knows what else, and I needed something to do, so I took up modelling, and this is what was my first project, diorama wise. Now I'll move that out of the way. Here we go, now the camera focused. So this was my first ever project. Now there's a story attached to this as well. What happened in my frustration after my operation and that, I think at some point I lost it because things weren't going right. So I gathered the whole thing up and I dropped it in the bin and closed the lid and walked away from it. Unknown to me, my young lady, she rescued it and she put it upstairs into the bottom of a wardrobe, where us men don't ever venture into a lady's wardrobe. And it was the middle of this year. I just said to her, I said, I wish I'd kept that now. And lo and behold, she produced it, which was a bit of a shock, but a nice shock as well. Right, enough about that. Why am I showing you this? Because I want to finish it off, and I want to show you where it stands at this particular moment in time. It's in a very poor, sorry state. As you can see, everything, well, I'll run through what it's built of. It weighs an absolute hundredweight, it really does. Because I'd never built a diorama before, I used my building skills, and my building skills was big blocks of wood. So that's what all this size constructed out of, big blocks of wood. If I can, I can't turn it. Hang on, let's move the camera. Let's see if we can see down the side. As you can see, look, big blocks of wood covered in about 3 ton of DAS clay. That was my construction materials. Let's put that back up there. Let's get that in position. That's what I used to construct it with. Yes, and as you can imagine, it's extremely heavy. So the sides are created from the wood and DAS clay. The base as well, as you can see, there's a good about 10 mil of DAS clay along the bottom there, which has got the pebbles and stones and everything else on it, which adds to the weight. Then it's got quite a lot of clear casting resin for the water, which hasn't come out too badly, which I'm quite happy with actually. It looks quite good. You don't really get the full benefit through the camera, but I did do it in layers, and if you can just see there that I actually put weed in at different layers coming off the posts, and it does look pretty good. And the reeds as well, they're all on the actual bottom, and you can see the thickness of the casting resin is quite thick. Construction wise, this was constructed from dowling, which I just whittled down with a very sharp knife to make look like logs, to actually make the 2 ramps either side. The actual bridge posts, that was a broom handle, because it was the closest thing I could find to the diameter, because I watched the film quite a few times to sort of like try and work out the diameter of the wheels and in relation to the posts, and that's how I got them to that size. Everything else, the bits of wood, they're all bits of just doweling that I whittled down and given a coat of paint to make look like oldish logs. To be fair to myself, first attempt ever, it didn't come out bad, but it's still wanting a lot. It's still now, further on, 2 years on, with a little bit more experience under my belt, I know it needs now to be weathered and softened in and made to look a little bit better, which I think I can do now. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. I'm going to replace the BT7 because it has been through the wars, like they did go through the wars, the little BT7s. It is a Sylvester kit, and I did struggle with this kit, building this, because it was probably one of the second or third ones I ever built. It didn't turn out bad, but I think I'm going to replace it with the Tamiya BT7, and also it will probably come on with metal tracks, because I need the tracks to actually follow this coursing of blocks to make it look right. So generally what I'm going to do on this is we're going to trim it, make it look a lot more presentable, weather these posts back to not a brown but also almost a grey, and the same with these, as like the bleached beech wood that you get at seaside and places like that, where it's been out in the open for a long time and it's virtually gone grey. So that's what I'm intending to do with the wood. The actual bank and that, there's just areas that need touching up. I mean, they do look reasonable, as you can see, if I can get in there. The broken tree with the moss and all that, I'm quite happy with that. That can all stop. The rock formations and that on the bank, I'm happy with. The water, I'm happy with. There's no point of changing any of that. Sorry about the clunks and the clicks. And over to this side when the camera focuses. So that's over to that side when the camera decides to focus. That's it. This side's got all the reeds on, which I am happy. There's no problems with these at all, and this bank as well. So there's not a lot to do, but there is quite a bit. It's just generally bringing it back to its former glory, getting a new. Let's get this up. Getting it back to its former glory and getting it into the display case. So there's going to be a few updates on that over the next week or so, 2 weeks, because it'll be mainly a new tank first and then just finishing these bits and pieces off. So that's my plans, and I'll see you on the first update next time. So thank you very much.